Hello everyone, welcome to Project X Talk. You know what I like, guys? I love JRPGs. Coming from PlayStation and also playing exclusively on PC for a couple of years, now that I've been playing this Xbox for a couple of months now, and I've been pretty much exclusive since like the summer, that's all I played Xbox. One thing that I miss for sure is JRPGs. I love the JRPG genre, and that's one thing that I can say for certain that Xbox is sorely lacking. But there are some gems, and that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about some of the JRPG games that you guys should be playing on your Xbox One, Xbox Series X, S today. You know, if you guys have PC Game Pass, even on that, play it on there. It's there available, so some of them. So we're not doing a top list. I don't want to rank these in any specific order. These are just games that I recommend you guys to play. The first one I'm going to start with is like one of the weirdest ones out of this entire genre. It's Code Vein. It's not a traditional JRPG in that sense. It's actually more of a Souls-like, but it takes place in a more JRPG, Japanese like fantasy universe that they normally go for. The characters in this game are anime inspired. Whenever you create your character, you can go really in depth with creating them and make them just look just like your favorite anime characters. It's a really good game, and it also has the benefits to be a little bit more simplistic than the Dark Souls series and Sekiro, for example. You have classes that you can switch on the fly called blood codes, and that's how you make your classes. It's really straightforward. You really don't have to focus on, like I have to make this build perfect. You can just swap back and forth without really dedicating, like, should I level up this stat or this stat? Like it is on Dark Souls. Like, should I level up my dexterity or my strength? You just level up all in one. And it works really well in this game. And it's also playable fully in co-op, and it's much more intuitive than it is on like Dark Souls, where it's a pain to sort of get your friends in there sometimes. This game remedies that. It's pretty good. Even if you don't play with a friend, by the way, in this game, you also have a partner that you can bring with you at all time, an NPC partner who helps you out. And it makes this game a lot more bearable. For example, when you die, it can revive you. It's really cool. Now, if you want to go with that little bit more hardcore JRPG, hardcore Souls-like, you can disable that partner and just go solo and just, have a little bit more difficulty at it. But it's not needed. Code Vein on Game Pass. This one here is one of my more favorite JRPG games. It's Final Fantasy mixed with like a little bit chibi characters. It's called World of Final Fantasy, and this one is a real throwback. It has a really unique combat system where you can stack your characters on top of each other and unstack them, and it's turn-based, but it's so cool. It's such a good game. It's a little bit more lighthearted than other Final Fantasy games in that aspect. It's definitely, I think it's more, you can compare more to like Kingdom Hearts in that example. But it's so good, and it has a lot of throwbacks because you can see a lot of the old characters from older games like Cloud, the dude from Final Fantasy VIII. It's Lightning. It's pretty neat to see them all in this game, but still, they're not the main focus of it. It's really cool that they're even part of it at all. It's a really good game, and this is one I recommend to try out. It is not on Game Pass, but it comes on sale pretty often. It's a couple years old now, so it's pretty cheap. All right, we have to talk about the next one. It is Final Fantasy 15. You guys knew this one was coming. If you mix Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and throw in a JRPG, that's what this game is. You're pretty much playing as a boy band, even though they don't sing. It's just the weirdest thing. To me, this one did take me a little bit to get into, but the combat in this one is actually freaking great. The quests on it is really good, and the overarching story is pretty damn good. Now, it did feel a little dull when the game first launched, but they since added a lot of DLCs to flesh out the other characters a little bit more. So it's interesting in that regard. And also on Game Pass, you get all of that for free. The main game plus all the additional content. The game's good, the combat's good. This one is one that you guys have to play for yourself, and it's one of the most visually great JRPG games that you can play, period. We're not only sticking to new gen titles in this list, we're gonna have to go way back for this one. And of course, we're talking about Final Fantasy VII. It's also available on Game Pass right now. If you guys never played the original Final Fantasy VII, the graphics on this one might be a little hard to get into. And the combat might feel a little dated for a lot of you who didn't grow up with turn-based combat, but this is a really good, solid game. And it also has the benefit for people that don't really like grinding. It also has a fast forward button now, so you can skip through a lot of the fights relatively easy, grind out your levels. It's a pretty fun game. The story is really great. Unfortunately, it's not the Final Fantasy VII remaster like the PlayStation got, but we're assuming somewhere down the line that'll come too. And when that comes, I'll also recommend that because I also thought that game was great. Definitely try out Final Fantasy VII if you have never played that game. This one I had to bring up. It's definitely different than the other ones that I listed on this list so far in terms of the combat. It's way more action-packed, really intense. Nier Automata. This one I recommend it a whole lot. If you ever wanted to play like as a badass cyborg girl, this is definitely the game to play. Not only do I recommend it for the combat, the story in it is fantastic. The world, beautifully post-apocalyptic in the best way possible. It's such a good game, and you can do multiple playthroughs on this one just because there's so many different endings to go through. The game I fully recommend. This one I played years back when it first launched, and it's on Game Pass, I believe, still. So if you guys want to give that one a try, go play Nier Automata. Another good one that I should be bringing up is called Yeast Origin. It's a franchise that is not the most popular JRPG like franchise out there, and the graphics on it aren't fantastic, but the combat is really good. The world is really good as well. Now, the story I feel like is nothing to write home about. I feel like this one is the main focus is the combat. The combat is really good in it, however. The only downside of it is if you want to get into the Yeast franchise, there's not a lot of other options besides Yeast Origin on the Xbox. You would have to find other paths, like for example on the Switch they have multiple Yeast games, PlayStation has them, Steam I believe has some too. But to get your feet wet, Yeast Origin, definitely a good starting point. Unfortunately we don't have more yet, but maybe they'll come down the line. Of course, I also have to recommend Dragon Quest XI. This one I have not fully completed. It's one that I'm still currently playing on the Game Pass. It's a really good game. The art style is beautiful. If you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, it's the same exact art direction. So I believe the art creator from Dragon Ball also helps with this game as well. It's really good. You play a silent protagonist. It's a long-running franchise for like years. Dragon Quest has been around. I played like probably Dragon Quest 2 on the Super Nintendo. It's such an old franchise. But I really recommend it. The combat is more traditional, but it can get challenging at times too as you progress throughout the story. The hero doesn't talk, so there's really no investment on that front, but the characters around him, they're the ones to invest with, and they make the game so good. Alright, on to my last game. Just so you guys are aware, I am not mentioning Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy XII, Tales of Vesperia. Now, those are all good games, but these are just the ones I'm personally recommending to you. There's nothing wrong with those games, okay? The last game I'm recommending is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Easily the breakout hit of 2020, and it is the best JRPG I've played last year by far. It is also the most different approach possible. As you guys saw, it was Kevin's game of the year of last year. He just did a review this week, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, he raved for it as well. And I'm gonna rave for it too. Yakuza Like a Dragon, I highly recommend the game. It's really unique. The world in it is fantastic. The story, you really get to feel these characters. And there is a lot of dialogue in this one. There's gonna be a lot of times where you're just sitting by and your Xbox might go into idle status because you're going through like a 10-20 minute cutscene. Just the way it is. But it's such a good game. It really harkens back to a lot of the old JRPG genres, but it modernizes it. It is such a good game. There's so much to do on this one. I'm just talking about just the pure JRPG aspects. But if you want to run a business, go ahead. If you want to go sing karaoke, you could go do that. Or play like baseball, I guess, go ahead. But The combat, I feel like, is what really makes this one, and the story. It's such a good game. Definitely play it whenever you guys can. Now, as a little bonus for this, there is also a lot of JRPGs to look forward to. Like, we have Scarlet Nexus coming out. We have Tales of Arise coming out at some point in 2021. JRPGs are coming to Xbox, guys. We're getting some solid ones now. And hopefully this trend continues onward and we can get some more of them, you know? JRPGs is a really good genre, a genre that a lot of people love, and I hope that we get to just get some more of them, you know, continuously. Like, just keep it going, you know? We have good relations now with, like, Sega, for example, with Microsoft. Like Sega and Microsoft are like best friends now for whatever reason. So we definitely have options out there to get a lot of these new JRPG games. Scarlet Nexus, Tale of Arise, keep them on your radar. We'll see if they're good. This is Project X Talk. My name is Tom. You guys can follow me at Chronicle Tom. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all that good jazz. And see you guys next time.